Hi, I'm Heidi Villegas with Healing Harvest Homestead, and I just got through harvesting and just harvesting yarrow basically because I'm going to distill it and create some hydrosol and hopefully some essential oil. So if you've ever been curious about how to use a copper alembic still to make hydrosols, which are an aromatic product, I'm an aromatherapist and an herbalist, then this is how you do it. It's actually pretty easy. It's an art as well as a science, and I'm excited to share this with you today. All right, so Heidi Villegas, Healing Harvest Homestead. Please subscribe if you like subjects like this. Okay, so now I'm going to take some more fresh yarrow that I just gathered, and I'm going to fill up my column, which is this portion of the still. So we've got the bowl, and the bowl is filled with our water. If you want to do a hydro distillation, you just fill the bowl with water and plant matter. If you want to do just a steam distillation, then you only put water in the bowl and you put your herb in the steam column. If you want to do both, you can do a combination hydro steam distillation. You can put plant matter in both, and that's what I'm doing today. So now I'm going to go ahead and fill the rest of the column up. And the way you want to do this is just with loosely packed herbs like this. You want to be able, you don't want them shoved in there hard. You just want them loosely packed because you definitely want the steam to be able to flow through and over them. Okay, so they're going to break down here in the column by way of steam. And you can see I'm actually using the flowers, the stems, the leaves. I'm using it all. Oops, okay. Nice bunch of yarrow. And I have to tell you, it smells amazing. This plant has aromatic oils that are just, oh, they're so lovely, and my hands just smell like them right now. They're so good. All right, now we're gonna head into the next phase of the steam distillation process. So here we are in the backyard, and we are getting ready to distill some freshly harvested yarrow. Here's what you need for your copper alembic still, all the parts. You need a source of heat. So in this case, I'm using a propane heater, like it's a camp stove, basically. Here is my copper alembic, and we've got the bowl, we've got the steam column, we've got the part that's called the onion, and then we've got the arm, and here we've got the pipe that goes into the serpentine, which is it's inside the condenser, and that's the part that will hopefully yield a beautiful hydrosol, and I'm hoping some essential oil out here. And on this side, the water flow is pretty important. So let's go ahead and talk about the water flow into and out of the condenser. So again, this portion here is where the hydrosol flows out. Once things start steaming enough, and it will start dripping, and I'll get my hydrosol, hopefully some essential oil from that portion of it. On this end of it, we've got our input. This is coming from our well water, so the water's very, very cold, which is good. And then down here, we've got two mechanisms that have to do with the output. Now, there are a lot of ways you can set this up, but this is what we do when we're outside. So the top one acts as kind of an emergency excess overflow. Okay, you can see the water coming out there because I want to keep the level of the water in the condenser pretty even, and sometimes that's actually hard to do. This bottom part here is the main outflow of the water, and it is going into the fish pond. All right, so it's not being wasted, and that's how we've got the water flow situation set up. One more thing I need to show you is on the onion. You don't have to have a temperature gauge, but I like to have one because you can see here how hot the system is getting, and your steam will start distilling at about 100 degrees centigrade. Okay, so I just like to kind of monitor that. If it gets too hot, it's not good because your distillate will come out too fast and you're going to get a poor quality that way. If it's too slow, it just takes forever. But really, to be honest, if you have a choice, a nice slow distillation is better than a very fast hot distillation. And I probably didn't mention this. I've got the seams of the alembic wrapped with Teflon tape or plumber's tape. Okay, and that's to prevent any excess steam from escaping, and you don't want the steam escaping because it's what contains the volatile oils or the essential oils and what makes the hydrosol so powerful. Okay, so you can see here that we're getting spurts of hydrosol, and sometimes they're fast and sometimes they're slow. And again, I really do want a slower distillation. I think I'm going to have more luck getting essential oil that way. And here we are on the temperature gauge. So we're right at almost 100 degrees centigrade. So therefore, I'm just going to kind of turn it down just a little bit and see if I can slow that flow somewhat. Although it's not going too badly. That's what we've got so far as hydrosol. And it's been maybe 30 minutes so far. One other thing I want to show you as the hydrosol drips in, do you see that dark layer on top? Guess what? That would be the essential oil forming. So I am very excited. I think I actually might yield a little bit of essential oil from this batch, in addition to the lovely, lovely hydrosol I'm going to get to use. So I'm very excited about this. Here is the product of the Yarrow distillation in my copper alembic still this morning. So you can see this is an order of when the product was distilled. So the first jar is the first little bit that came out. The second jar is the second amount. Third jar is the third. And then I decided just to stop it then because I felt like there probably wasn't a whole lot of water left in the bowl of the still. I didn't want it to run dry. So anyway, you can see the hydrosol has a kind of a lovely bluish color, and then you've got that nice layer on top of each of the jars. There's not much. That would be the essential oil, and there's not probably enough to even bother straining it off. So I'm going to combine these and shake them together and then let them settle and let the essential oil come to the top and just see where we're at. And at that point, if there's enough essential oil, I'll put it through my separator and maybe it yield just a tiny, tiny amount of the essential oil. But otherwise, if there's essential oil inside the hydrosol like this, it's going to be a pretty minute amount for this much hydrosol. So it's not going to make a difference. And it's actually going to add more power to the hydrosol. So this was the first jar of hydrosol that was yielded. And I'm going to actually strain this one through a cheesecloth just because there are some impurities in it that I just want to make sure are out. And then here's the second jar. And here's the third jar. So what happens when you're distilling plants is that the strength of the hydrosol changes throughout the distillation process. It's actually strongest at the beginning. So this first jar is going to have the strongest number of compounds. It's very, very aromatic. It smells amazing. And this one, of course, will have the least, but it still smells amazing. So what you want to do is mix them all together. And that's what I'm going to do right now. So I'm just going to strain this one through my handy dandy cheesecloth, giving it a good rinse. Okay. Remove this. Oh yeah, there's a lot of essential oil in here. I just don't think it's going to be enough to actually separate off. So this is my separator. If I yield enough essential oil, then I can actually maybe get a few milliliters of the oil this way. I'm just going to go ahead and pour this one in because, and I have to tell you, now Yarrow is a blue essential oil. It contains a chemical called chamazoline. And you probably can't tell, but I'm actually looking at this hydrosol and it's got a blue tint. So I'm very excited about it. I think the quality of this is really, really wonderful. All right, so now I've got the total distillation right here. And I'm just going to cover this and let it sit for a little while, or I could, just to see if any oil comes to the top. Here's the thing, if I were to pour this into a narrow bottle, I would see more essential oil. Since I've got such a broad area of surface area on the top of this, I'm likely not to see much. So I think actually what I'm going to do, and just because this smells so wonderful, I think I'm just going to be happy with a really strong distillation, and I'm going to pour this into mason jars seal them up with plastic lids, and they're going to go in my refrigerator in my studio over here where I keep my essential oils. And we're going to enjoy this really lovely, good amount of hydrosol over time. If you're interested in knowing how to use hydrosols, I've got a video on that. You can check it out. Sorry about my dog. And if you want to learn more about distillation or yarrow, yeah, you've got another video up there too. How to harvest and identify yarrow in the field, and then what it's good for as well. So I hope you subscribe, and I hope that you enjoyed this little experiment on hydrosol creation. I'm in the learning process, and I'm going to share what I learned with you as I get better at this. All right, I'll talk with you later. Bye-bye.